Welcome to the College of Wealth podcast, the ultimate financial guide to help you understand your financial stresses and how you can build from it. Your lessons won't be in class, and your projects can either save you or earn you money. We host episodes 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you reach your financial freedom. Now let's get started with your hosts, Owen, Paradis, and William Goulet.
Hello, everyone. Hello,
Hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast.
Podcast.
Yes, this is a financial podcast that teaches you the latest and greatest information about money, because at the end of the day, this is a crazy money-making world.
Yes, money-making, undebatable, because I've made money, you've made money, everyone who listened to this made money. Or
Yes.
at least has been on one side of the transaction.
Yes.
And crazy. Would I describe it as crazy? Yeah, I think historically through the past 121 episodes, 118, let's call it.
Yeah, with you
I've been
being here.
agreeing. It is a crazy money-making world. Right on.
Yes, and for that, we like to go and call this podcast. We like to, because it's a financial podcast, we do like to go and say it's for entertainment purposes only.
Well,
because
okay,
it's
so
really-
yeah,
What?
I had a thought about that, about the entertainment purposes only.
Okay. Yeah.
Fresh thought right out of my mind.
Okay.
So I agree that what we do is for entertainment purposes only, and I
Yes.
like that we say that because it sort of covers us on the whole liability thing. You know?
Yes.
But so I do like that portion. But I think that our information is fantastic, and the content is great too. And you do a lot of research, you put some work into it, and I think I always get something from every episode. So why not include that as part of our introduction? So maybe we can say that it's the information and it's the entertainment, and that's what we do is information entertainment. But even better, I thought of a word that would encapsulate all of that perfectly.
Yes.
Infotainment. I didn't even say the word, Owen, and you agreed.
That was the longest.
Thank you very much. Infotainment.
It's like when they go and ask you to do a 1,000-word essay.
Yeah, well, they'll never ask me again. Let me tell you that, Owen.
They will not. They will not. But I do agree with you. I do agree with the infotainment.
I saw you put your head on your head and sort of go like just shy of.
It's all good here, but we do. We at the College of Wealth podcast do like to call it infotainment because Will nor myself are not financial advisors here by any means.
Certainly not me, anyways, Owen.
Me either.
True.
But we study business. We got our bachelor's degrees in business. I work finances. Will works marketing. We are very passionate about the business industry, and it's the whole reason why we do this podcast. But we also have 2 other reasons why we do this podcast. Would you like to go and tell us what those reasons are, Will?
Thanks, Owen, for passing it over. I'd love to hop in. One of the first reasons is making money.
Yes.
Because, it's a financial podcast, and as we like to say, our interest is valid, and in the Gen Z way, right?
Yes.
So making money, no-brainer. Also, sometimes it's not always about making money. Sometimes it's just that we love to save money.
I agree with that 100%. That is totally true.
Happy to have your endorsement.
Without telling you the title about episode 122, we also got to go and tell people about, if you haven't done so, go and check us out on YouTube if you like visuals. If you also like to go check us out on Instagram at College of Wealth Podcast, and most importantly, give us a 5-star review on Apple or on Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. It helps us out with the algorithm. Check us out. Go and subscribe to us, follow to us, all the different platforms. Also TikTok. We're going to be creating another video, and I think we're going to create a video off of this specific segment. So,
oh, really?
I'll tell you. So,
right on.
Without further ado, we're going to be hopping into episode 122, the worst things you can do with extra cash.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yes,
first of all,
we
extra
haven't
cash
covered.
sounds good.
Extra cash is good, but if you use it in certain ways, it's not good. It's not always good to have extra cash if you're going to use it in these specific ways.
Fair enough.
So the first thing we're going to go and talk about here are stats. We have four different ways.
Batman, of course,
Yes.
of course.
Of course. And then followed by 4 different things you could do to make money. The worst things you could do with the money.
Right on.
Extra money. These stats, I think, are really, really interesting. And a lot of them, the top... Yeah, actually, all of them, I got them from Motley Fool. I thought it was really, really interesting. So the first question I got for you, Will, what are the biggest wastes of money according to Motley Fool? And this is very generic. The second question is going to be more specifically. This is more generic.
Okay, gambling,
Okay.
a useless degree, and
Okay.
fine dining.
Okay. So that is for the second part, and only one of those is correct.
Oh, okay.
But the
all right.
the first one, generically speaking, is paying excessive or on unnecessary. Paying on unnecessary fees. That's around 75% of people agreed on that.
Oh, true.
The next thing is paying excessive interest, and that's about 70% or 74%. And in third came in on impulse buying, and that was 71%.
You know, one of the flimsiest things that I've ever seen, fees-wise, are activation fees.
Oh, the stupidest thing.
Yeah, they always
you're
try to
charging
add it in.
me to use your system.
Yeah. To acquire me as a customer, I need to pay in. What? So every time, they always say, we have an activation fee. You say, huh? You only have to say something that smells, huh? And they'll go, but we're going to waive the activation fees. Okay, all right. Why bring it up then?
Our next stat here is more specifically speaking. What are the top wastes of money? What are the specific top ways of wasting money according to over 1,000 people?
Gambling.
So you say gambling. What else?
Fine dining.
Okay.
And another big waste of money is convenience fees, like if going to a convenience store.
Good guess. But the first biggest waste of money, according to people, is throwing out food and leftovers.
Oh, yeah. We've touched on this a little bit. Yeah.
70% of the people do agree that their biggest waste of money is actually on leftovers, like throwing out food.
True.
When I just think of the Ziploc commercials when you think of that there.
Oh,
but
throwing out food?
Yeah.
Hey,
But
I guess I'm not familiar.
But the second thing, it would be fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Spending too much on fast food. 54% of people said fast food.
Well, here's the thing, and people often spend money on fast food and then because of that, they don't use their food at home, so they have to throw out their food.
Yeah.
So it's a vicious cycle.
And last but not least, it's actually with 50 expensive drinks. 50% of people said expensive drinks.
True.
So it's very, very impressive, but makes sense.
Well, if you go to a restaurant and for kids or for Owen, if you get a Virgin Shirley Temple, they'll charge you like $7-8 for a little bit of orange juice and all those items separate. They wouldn't charge you like any crazy amount, but as soon as you start mixing them together, whew, it's a big mixing fee. Let's call it.
Well, just think about going to an amusement park and paying for a $4 water bottle.
True. Those hurt the most.
They are the most insulting expenses.
Man.
Our third stat, this one I thought was pretty baffling as well. Did you want to take a wild guess as what the average monthly waste is? Estimated.
Like in dollars?
Yes.
Okay, people waste $700 a month.
No.
Okay.
About $139 a month.
Well, I could use $139 a month, honestly. So,
And the average large purchase, which was wasteful,
yeah.
was approximately $521.
Whoa.
Yes.
What's that for? Shake
So
weights or something, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. And our last statistic, what percentage of Americans have no idea how much they spent last month?
Okay, we touched this on a little bit on the people being scared to check their accounts.
Yeah, that's true.
40% of 30% of people don't know how much they spent last month.
Over double that. 65% have no idea. It's one thing to check your bank account. It's a whole other thing to check how much you've spent, because they're not going to tell you how much you spent unless you're using an app to track it.
Yeah, true. They never sum that up for you.
No, of course not. They don't want you. They don't want you to know.
Yeah. They don't want you to know.
No.
No, but you know what? It's a little bit of a downer, but we're going to cover on how to do that, right? On
Yes.
how to avoid those. That's good, because I want to bring in the quote of the day.
Already. Okay.
And Owen, you actually brought up the quotee of the week this time around.
Yes.
Martin Luther King.
Okay, yes.
And Martin Luther King says, as we just covered a bunch of sad stats, and now we go on how to avoid it in the future, he says, out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope.
I like that.
And that's exactly what we're going into. Let's dig into the stone of hope.
We are going to be talking about that, the biggest waste of money and why you shouldn't be spending that kind of money on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And or just things that you could do with extra cash.
Yes.
So our first thing here, and we're going to start right off with a banger, buying penny stocks.
Oh, yeah, true.
Penny stocks, I'm just saying flat out, it's such a risky thing to get into. And absolutely everyone who gets into investing will play with penny stocks because they want money fast. They just want money.
They want that 10,000% growth out of nowhere. My goodness. Yeah, whenever I think penny stocks, I inevitably think of the Wolf of Wall Street example, where they were selling a penny stock and saying, this here's the next generation in airwave communication for different aerospace applications. And then it's this guy out of a shed working on a radio.
Yeah, exactly. But it's wild. It's absolutely wild, the risk that's involved with it. For anyone who doesn't know, typically penny stocks have a different definition depending on the investor. But usually it's the rule of thumb is under $1. But some people will say up to $2. Some people will even say up to $3. But I would like to say anything under $1 because you're dealing with pennies at that point.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They don't make dollars. It don't make sense.
That was a mistake. I stumbled on that.
But it's also defined as a small market cap. Usually that could be like anything under $50 million, $100 million.
Yeah.
Depends. And another big thing with this type of stuff is there's a lack of information. It's very difficult to access the information because also in reality, a lot of the companies think of like when Apple decides to go and release information, you'll see information on YouTube, you'll see information on Yahoo, you'll see information on Google, you'll see information absolutely everywhere.
True.
Whereas them, or like a penny stock, they may release it on their website, and that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, no media around it, no nothing.
No, exactly.
And let's not consider the impact that media can have on hype and building up the value of the stock, right?
Yes, and that's the biggest thing. And with penny stocks, the other component to it, you don't see it as much. Oh my gosh, I feel I wrote this down, but I have to say it. They seem more credible than the type of crap that we went through the last 2-3 years. But pump and dump schemes happen more frequently with penny stocks.
Oh, true. Well, you see it with TikTokers too, you know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, right on.
Penny stocks seem more credible than the stupid NFTs that we saw or crypto that we saw in the last 2 years.
And if anyone is curious, we had a whole episode on crypto,
Literally.
crypto rug pulls.
We literally spoke about one of them being somewhat interesting at one point. Safe Moon.
Yeah, true.
Safe Moon was huge, and it was rug pulled, and it was millions of dollars. Absolutely stunning.
Crazy
to see that kind of stuff. But the other another thing that needs to be added to this with penny stocks is the factor of buying and selling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Try and sell a penny stock when it's falling.
Yeah. Yeah, who's going to buy back? Unless you have a very, very confident owner that says, oh, yeah, on discount, I'll buy back. But, odds are, if the rug's being pulled, the owner's in on it.
Well, that's just it. I think I said this very quickly. I'll say very quickly.
Yeah.
So I you know this story, and I've said it before, but I purchased a crypto. It was a friend of mine that created this, like I guess an acquaintance, was part in on this crypto, this coin, and it was worth like a half cent at the time, an eighth of a cent, and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna put $100 in this here.
Sure.
I'm not. If I lose it, I don't care. It was one of those things. I don't care. And it went up to 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cents. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put in another, I think I put in another $100 or $200. I think I had $400 in. And I mean, it was enough, but for me, it wasn't something I was butthurt. I had a little bit of money put aside, but it was still risky. It was like putting money on penny stocks.
Yeah, but what I would have done if I were you is not reinvest after it's gone up.
Well, hear me out on this here, and
Yeah.
this is the downside of penny stocks as well.
Mm-hmm.
It actually went up all the way up to 47 cents. I think 47 cents. So my $400 investment went all the way up to $9,800, so close to $10,000.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's lottery. That's
Yes. Oh, yes. But I was paying attention to this like a hawk. I was looking at this close to 100 to 200 times a day. I kid you not. I was looking at my phone literally every 5 minutes.
My goodness.
And I also knew that one of the portfolio, some of the whales, as they call, was there was someone who owned like 30% or 40%. I did not like that, and I'm like, and sure enough, I saw it go from 45 down to 42, and I'm like, it's pulling. I pulled out, and I was down to 37 cents when I pulled. Oh, well, not when I pulled, but when I cashed out.
Yeah.
And with conversions and everything, I actually ended up with, I think, close to $4,000, $4,500. Which I was ecstatic. The coin is worth like 1 cent now, 2 cents. But the only reason why I was able to do that was because I was watching it like a hawk.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do with penny stocks. That's literally that's all you could do is watch it, and you're going to consume your life, and it's not worth it. The only reason why I was able to do that was because how crypto was so volatile.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, we had one of our buddies in school who it was exam season, and this guy was doing little micro trades, just trying to make money on, and he's like, oh, I got to sell at this time. And in the middle of an exam, he'd be like, I got to check it. I got to check my phone. I got to see what's going on. In the middle of an exam. And if he would have been caught, he would have said, oh, you're trying to cheat, you're trying to do this. He's like, no, I was just watching my stock, and I don't want it to go. That's how much pressure can be put on someone when you're dealing with
penny stocks.
Penny stocks.
And that especially with the markets that we were dealing with in the last 2 years, I know it's settled down quite a bit, which I'm happy about, quite frankly. But it just, the markets were so volatile.
Yeah.
You saw regular stocks skyrocket, and you saw some other stocks that were doing fairly good just absolutely get demolished.
True.
Because people were trying to make a quick buck off of everything. So, first segment, if you have extra cash, do not buy into penny stocks. It's not healthy to do.
Check.
Second thing, and this one's pretty obvious, to spend it all away. The worst thing you spend it all away, or to make it even worse, finance something.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to start this segment, and this was the funniest thing I saw. They were asking about this was Warren Buffett. Mm-hmm. He was talking about a lady who he was talking to, and she was saying how she ended up getting a windfall. She ended up getting some money. And he asked her, like, well, okay, well, do you have any debts to pay or anything like that? Well, I'm not, I just don't know what to do with my money. Like, what should I do? And then he's like, well, what type of interest are you paying on this debt? And she's, well, 18%, which
Dave
is
Ramsey?
typical. No, Warren Buffett.
Okay, because it sounds like you're describing Dave Ramsey. So I thought
No, this is Warren Buffett.
All right.
And she had thousands of dollars of, like, at 18%, that's credit card debt.
Yeah.
And he's like, 18%? I don't even make 18% on my investments on a yearly basis. And then after, he's like, well, get rid of that ASAP. Like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And then after, she's like, okay, well, then I'll do that. But what about someone who's younger? Like, my daughter has like $2,000-$3,000, a few $1,000s. What should I do? What should she do with her investments? She doesn't have any debt. Mm-hmm. And then his response was, obviously lend you money because you're willing to spend 18%.
That's very smart.
I was
witty
like,
remark.
Yeah, I was like, what? That's so witty. I love it so much. But needless to say, when you're spending money on that kind of stuff, and especially when you're financing, you're going to spend extra money. And if you're going to go and do that, not only are you going to spend that excess money, but you're going to have to spend even more later on, that you're not guaranteeing that you're going to have that excess money to spend on.
Yeah. And I know we're not planning on doing this, but I want to ask you, maybe it might make a good episode, but if you're winning the lottery,
yes,
what's your plan?
Oh,
I think we should keep that for an episode.
I got my pen out.
Because you see it way too often where people will win the lottery and then years later they're broke
bankrupt
again. When anyone who knows what to do with that money can remain wealthy for the rest of their lives.
Well, for me, I always think about those YouTube episodes, like for the winning $1 million or winning $100,000 and you have 24 hours to spend. What would you do? And I would be the worst person because guess what? I'm investing it.
Yeah,
I'm investing it. I'm there, and it's
if there's no rule that I can't buy stocks or bonds or anything like that, it's sorry.
Well, I
would
would
be boring.
I would buy myself a house. Like I would buy myself like a property or something like that, and the rest is invested. That's literally what I'm doing. And they'd be there, and it's like, you have $1 million and 24 hours to spend it. Spend now. Okay, paperwork done.
Yeah.
End of episode. And they're like,
you have 24 hours. You're like, okay. You open up your phone and you go through the realtor listing. Like, hold on. I'll find something here. I'll use it as a down payment.
Yeah. So, needless to say, that's a really cool episode. We'll have that there. I like it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people end up spending a lot of their money, especially when they have extra money. It releases endorphins. That's the biggest thing. True. You end up getting a release when purchasing things, especially things that you want. The anticipation, heck yeah, I got it. But you need to realize that the endorphins are temporary. And they tend to drop very quickly once you purchase the item afterwards. It's the after effects, and that's where you end up getting buyer's remorse or anything like and especially if you're having payments, then those endorphins start to become dreadful after a while. They're no longer endorphins.
Well, I remember you saying that's one way that people cope with stress. Is shopping.
Yep.
And it's so true, and it doesn't fill that void that you might have,
Mm-hmm.
So you're right.
The third component to this here is, first off, if you end up having extra cash, it's always good to pay with cash or anything like that. But if you're financing, you could also affect your credit score with this, and it can actually affect you negatively.
True.
And that could also lead to more debt, worse financing in the future. And these are just domino effect things that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But don't go and do that kind of stuff.
I have a windfall horror story.
Okay.
That I heard from our region.
Okay.
It was a gentleman who won the lottery.
Okay.
And he went to the local hobby shop and
what kind of money are we talking about? 100,000, $1 million?
Lots of money. Let's call it. So he went to nearest shop and hobby shop, and he says, or sports shop, whatever you want to call it. And he says,
"Yep,
I want a 4-wheeler and trailer and this and that, and I don't care because I fucking won millions of dollars. Pardon my language."
Yeah.
And
true northern talk.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you know it's real. And this gentleman would get drunk, and he'd mess something up.
Oh no!
But something stupid like if I remember correctly, there was even something like it was a kill switch of some sort.
Yeah.
And he'd go back drunk to the place and would say, "Give me something better, take it back, whatever." And so the guy would say, "Well, to take it back, I need to take it in at a lesser trade value."
Yeah.
And then would keep on refinancing, getting a new one. He's
oh
like,
my god!
I don't care, just fix it because I got money to fix it, and this and that, and that's
wow.
how their money got drained away.
Yeah, that's very sad. That's very sad.
No doubt there was something with those endorphins of, yep, well, I got the money, so do this and do that, and it fixes that small patch, but man, it didn't help at all.
Yep. That's actually really, really sad, to be honest. But
sorry.
No, but you're right. You're totally right. You're totally right. It's a sad story to say the least, but it's true that you financing something or just buying a whole bunch of things just to make yourself happy is not going to lead to happiness.
That's right.
Eternal happiness.
Yeah.
The last component that I have to go and say this is the most obvious thing: pay yourself first. If you're going to pay for something, pay yourself. And if it's either invest in yourself, we've said it a million times beforehand, but pay off that debt of any kind, pay it, and then invest. We've said it, and I've heard a story, and I think this was on the news, and I laughed hysterically because my dad and I were watching it, and we just looked at each other as if. And it was a bit of humor. They won the lottery, and it was something like they won $25 million or $30 million. And the wife was there, and I said, "So what are you going to do with your winnings?" And the wife went and said, "Well, we're thinking about fixing up the van. It's giving us issues." The husband just looks at her. Fixing up the van? I just laugh.
There's the one who is, sometimes you're just raised as a hyper reasonable person.
Yeah.
And it hasn't quite set in yet.
We could buy out the shop if we wanted to.
Yeah. 20 to 30 million. My goodness.
But so needless to say, always pay yourself first, any kind there. And
we can afford a brand new body job on the van. That's so funny.
Our third segment, and you briefly spoke about this one in the statistics, and that one's to gamble it all away.
Yes, sir.
And people tend to...
No, sir.
No. But people tend to spend more. Actually, I saw the stat. I can't bring it up because I don't know the exact statistic. Mm-hmm. But men, I'm leaning towards 65% as well. But men are actually more prone to gambling their money away if they end up getting more money, if they get excess cash, versus women. I think it was something like 65% of men would like to go gambling versus 45% of women, or 35% of women, or more. I'd have to pull the statistic, but men are more prone to go gamble than women.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Honestly.
Oh, for sure. I believe it too.
I think you enjoy gambling a little bit too. I know I enjoy gambling.
I do
every
yes.
now and then. I mean, light gambling. You know,
yes.
Like,
that's I was going to like I would never go anything more than $100, no more.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you budget that for a good night, you know, and you make that last with minimum bets. But you can still make it happen.
My buddy came over last week, and I told him, I was like, you know what, let's go to the casino. And he didn't want to, so we just decided to play it online for the hell of it.
How was that?
It's enjoyable, especially the live stuff. I prefer, I prefer the live gambling because it's not really as much automated, you could say. Versus they can go and pick and choose. Like there's a software system that tracks your every movement versus if you have 20, 30, 40, 50 people gambling. If you know what I mean.
No, I get what you mean.
It's a little bit less, I guess you could say, fixed, quote unquote, but
I want to believe that that I could have the odds on my side and that there's nothing programmed.
Quote unquote could, but
that's why I said could, because I know I'm gonna lose anyway, you know.
Yeah, well, that was actually the biggest thing I was gonna say at the first. Well, actually, I'm just gonna finish my story. I came in with 40. I had $80, and we went up to $100. I went all the way down to $35, and we're playing roulette, by the way. And I actually brought it all the way back up. I was like to 75, then 76, 77, 78, 79. 80, and then I was like, pull out, I'm done.
Nice.
I'm done.
Very nice.
I cashed out at even, and so that was a bit of humor there. But the biggest thing, and this was Motley Fool talking about this. I guess I'm preaching Motley Fool tonight, but today, but they were comparing gamblers to investors.
Okay.
The mentality between investors and gamblers is very, very closely related. Because investors like to make money when they're like to spend on a high. Like, oh my gosh, there's money coming in. We're spending more. We're spending more. We're spending more. What if we can make more? Versus when they're losing money, they try to make that money back.
True.
But the biggest difference is the information.
Yes.
An investor can go and invest off of information that is received to them versus a gambler has no prior information and they're relying on luck.
Oh, true.
So the only information you can have is, oh, well, that table's hot right now or that table's cold right now. And in reality, it means nothing.
No.
And this is where I'm going to be getting a little bit into the nitty-gritty stuff about gambling. The most common gambling style is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the martingale system.
No, I haven't.
So you've definitely heard of the strategy. It's basically doubling down when you lose money.
Oh, yes.
So you start with $1, you lose, put $2. And then if you lose again, $4. And then $8, and $16. And that adds up insanely quick. And this is where it gets very, very ugly. And because what ends up happening is the theory is let's say we're keeping it simple with roulette, you end up with black and red. Black and red. If you end up on black, for anyone who doesn't know roulette, you get double your money back.
Yeah.
But if you end up, what you're banking on is if it landed on black, oh well, it won't land. The odds is 25% now because it already landed on black beforehand. And now it's 12.5% every time. But in reality, it's not. You're betting on a series of events, but in reality, it's a single event.
It's random.
It's random.
It's a sum of random events. It's like the flaw where it's like, surely if you flip the penny 1,000 times, eventually it's going to go to tails, right? No, you don't know. You don't know. That's just how it works. But he's like, but 1,000 times it probably would. You're like, no, that's not the right way. It's completely random.
It is completely random in that sense. And people basically bank on the fact that it will land on black, let's say.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. The odds could happen that it will land, but the odds of it landing are just as even as it is to land on red again. The odds don't increase that you're going to go and land on black. They're even.
And your odds are actually technically a little bit lower than 50%.
Yes, because of green.
Yeah, that's why they say the house always wins. That's why they put the green in there.
Well, I was going to say as the last part, the house will always win no matter what. It's always fixed in a way that the house will win. And this was another thing, a stat that I found, especially like with roulette. Mm-hmm. If you spend around $100 an hour with roulette,
okay,
you are going to average down $5.26 per hour. On average, after playing 1 hour of roulette, you will end up with $94.74.
So that's the cut that the casino takes, around $5 an hour.
Yeah.
5% an hour, let's call it.
Yeah. So the longer you end up playing, the more likely you will lose money. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting.
And it's more specifically, like, literally gambling is designed to make you lose. It is literally designed to make you lose.
True.
There's a whole reason why there's a whole industry behind it. If it was made to make people win, then they would not exist.
When I was younger, I always wanted to own a casino until I heard how hard it is to actually own and run a casino.
It'd be nice.
I always thought like that's the ultimate nightlife style, and you make money always.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, that'd be so cool. But maybe another time, huh?
Maybe another time. And that's basically about it for the third thing that you should not do with excess money.
Yeah.
Because more than likely you're going to lose it.
I agree.
And last but not least, this one is pretty obvious for anyone who knows about finances, is to do nothing at all with that excess money.
Yes. Yep.
It is such a waste of money to do that, especially with what we're dealing with right now. And I'm going to go and talk about some stats for everyone here again.
Right on.
The average savings account right now has an APY, that's annual percentage yield, of 0.13% right now. And the average high interest savings account.
This is a big shot right now. High interest is a big shot of the accounts.
2 to 3.5% right now. And so basically what I'm trying to say is, with inflation being at around 7%, 8%, 9%, depending on if you're in Canada or United States.
Yeah.
At your savings account, let's say just the lower end, 7%, you are losing 6.8. Yeah, around 6.87% a year on your savings. It's not coming out of your account, obviously, but let's say you had $10,000 in there. Well, you'll have 6.87% less at the end of the year because it's worth 7% less.
Yeah, it's a very simple principle, but it's how much money is out there chasing the same amount of goods.
Yep.
And it very simple, but year over year we're slowly having more money chasing the same or sometimes less amount of goods.
Yes, exactly. So even high interest savings accounts don't do much right now. Yeah. With this wild inflation that we're seeing, not worth it.
It's still better than doing nothing with it.
It's better. I'll agree with you. It's better.
Less bad.
It's less bad. It's the lesser of two evils. But in this case, like if you have stagnant cash or anything like that, it also gives you the opportunity to spend it. Doesn't matter if it's in a high interest or a regular account. It gives you the opportunity to spend it. Mm-hmm. And then do ridiculous things with it, and do that spending that you'll regret.
Yeah, true.
It's not something that a lot of people like. If you have easy access to it, then people will spend it. Typically,
it's true.
And if it's a little bit harder, they'll second guess. Oh, what's in my investing? Well, I'll take think about retirement savings account.
Yeah.
How much people don't touch that? Why? Why do people?
Because they want to secure their retirement.
Well, it's so hard to take out.
Yeah, and all the penalties too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why can't you treat your accounts with excess cash the same way?
Yeah, does someone have to force you into it for you to do it?
Well, the penalties you're going to get are like I said, if you have a credit card, you're going to be paying insane interest, that 18% or whatever, and it just different things like that. And if you have extra cash, invest it. And
yes.
The other thing is, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. Joke's on you if you're deciding to store all your money at the bank, because they're going to start making money off of you.
Yeah,
do you know what they're doing with your money? Because
it's not sitting there.
No, it's not. The money that you see online right now is not sitting there. It's being taken by the bank, and they're making money off of your money.
Yeah.
What you see right there is just what you have access to.
It's not a mattress for hire. No. They're investing your money. You know?
Yeah. That's exactly why, let's say you had $100,000 in the bank and you decide to go and take it out and say, I want $100,000 cash. They're going to have to go through leaps and bounds to try and give you that $100,000 cash.
I remember just taking out something like $3,000 US, and without much warning. And I know that's partially because it's US money, but they're like, we need warning to do this and that. And it's just like, oh, you guys aren't ready for this, even if my account has it in US dollars, you know?
It's wild. It is insane. And
yeah.
So
they say around 10% of money that exists is actually physically printed.
Yeah.
And the rest is all digital. It's a mutual agreement within the world. That
is a huge component of it all. And this is my side of it, because I'm into precious metals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's another side where I invest in silver and gold and stuff like of those kinds. Not because I'm against the banks or anything. I just like collecting that kind of stuff. But I'll say that during the Great Depression and the big crash, like Black Friday, was it Black Friday or Black Tuesday? I think, but
Monday maybe.
Yeah, could be Black Monday, but it was Black Monday. Sorry, but basically, what ended up happening is everyone wants to take out their money. They could not do that. Yeah. And during war, what ended up happening is the banks got depleted completely. So people who had deposit boxes at the bank lost everything. They were taken.
Deposit boxes?
Yes, they were taken.
Wow.
Your funds are not 100% secure at the bank. Because
deposit box, do you mean those like with a key and you're supposed to only have access?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Now, like I said, this is over 100 years ago and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that happened. That legitimately happened. War happened, so they need absolutely everything in their power. They need absolutely everything. So they're going to go and take what's at arm's reach, and that's going to be
push comes to shove.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is it right? No, not at all. But that's exactly why. That's one of those factors where I'm there, and I'm like, you know what? Like, it's cool to have that on hand too, and that's why I have my own safety deposit box.
True. Well, during World War II as well, you see that in the movies, where the families, the Jewish families would have their property on them, and maybe in their tooth or something like that. It's like, oh, it's on my person, I'm keeping it with me. I have a silver tooth and that kind of stuff. And it's a way of managing your assets, really, right?
Yes, exactly. So I mean, it's just another alternative investment that I do, and I'm not going to go and push it on anyone here. I just say if you're going to go and invest and stuff like that at the bank, which you can with their own platforms too, you can invest with the bank that you have.
Yep.
Not demonizing banks at all here, but you're going to make significantly more if you decide to invest it in an account of some kind, or investments, ETFs, or
over the long term.
Over the long term, exactly. Yes. Not penny stocks.
Yeah, true.
So with that being said, everyone, my name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet. We're happy to present to you episode 122, Worst Things You Can Do with Extra Cash.
Right on. That was fun.
It was an awesome episode here. So we'll see everyone on the next episode. Peace.
Two figures, peace.
This has been your daily dose of motivation with the College of Wealth podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening. And until next episode.